Hi, Maggie. Thank you for joining this interview session. I wish you were under better circumstances, as this pandemic has definitely put a lot of pressure on people, both economically and socially. But I, as one, believe that it is timely, and I can't think of anyone else more fitting than you to share and spare 20 minutes of their time to speak about their life, as I believe you've gone through many challenges throughout your life that would resemble what a lot of people are experiencing today. And growing up, and as far as I recall, you've met challenges head on and were successful in pulling through and making it happen for you and your family. So with that, I would love to hear from you, and I'd like to turn this over to you, Maggie, if you could spare a few minutes of your busy time and share with us your life story. Thank you.
My name is Maggie Garamani. I'm the owner of Fitness by Maggie. My goal is to help others overcome their challenges and difficulties in life. And I have a unique way of doing that by combining the mind and body using the healing power of nature. And let me share a little bit about my experiences and my background and how I dealt with obstacles in my life and the skills that I learned over the past with my past experiences to deal with difficulties in my life, which those skills has helped me today with this pandemic or any crisis I go through in my life. I guess the best place to start is when I came out of my mother's womb. The doctor must have slapped me really hard to prepare me for what I was to face growing up. I was a rebel from the get-go. I was born in a traditional religious Muslim family, generations of religious devotees. I'm the youngest of 11 children, 5 brothers and 5 sisters. Some of them could have been my moms and dads. For some reason, I had a different DNA. My wiring was different. I was the black sheep of the family. The reality of life forced this choice on me to either be a copy or like the rest of my siblings, or to be, and if choosing to be different or original, there was a huge price to pay. Survival and staying alive was essential because you're dealing with 10 other siblings. I was compelled, it was this instinct that compelled me to fight the abuse, the neglect, the social pressure, defeat, family chastisement, and all other forms of adversities. As I said, I was a rebel. They didn't know what to do with me. So anything that went wrong, I was being punished for it. And being from a religious family, and what I did and what I behaved was not tolerated in my family. I was not a symbol, an example of a good Muslim girl. Anything I did, getting caught swimming with little boys, age, let's say 5 or 6, I would get punished for it. Removing my hijab, the head cover, on the way to school and back, I would get punished for it. Getting kicked out of a religious school, I would get I would get punished for it. Then I would be sent to my room, physically and mentally abused. And when I was sent to my room, initially it was like solitary confinement, which soon I turned it into a creative workshop. And I want to explain this a little bit. You know how as little children, We treasure certain items, but that we gives us a sense of security, whether it's blanket, a teddy bear, stuffed animals. You know what mine was? A jump rope I owned. I used to go to bed with this jump rope and wake up with it. I would skip thousands of times, and it would give me such a great sense of strength that it would enable me to continue the fight. After a while, I loved my workshop because I was able to sharpen my skill. They basically did not know what to do with me. Fast forward till I became 11 years old. I lost my father, when I was 11. It truly broke my heart. I loved my father. From 11 to 15, I went through hell, some dark times. I was getting older and bolder. When I say bolder, the things I was doing conflicted with the way my family's beliefs were, and it was not tolerated in my family. So I would get in a lot of trouble. And when I turned 15, my mother was diagnosed with a terminal illness, leukemia, and my oldest brother decided to bring her to America for second opinion. And since I was the last child in the family, I was taken with them. In America, my mother was told she doesn't have much time to live. So she requested to go back to Iran to spend her final days there. My brother presented me then with two choices, either to go back to Iran with our mom or to stay in America with them. Going back to Iran was not an option because I did not have such a great memory of my childhood. So there wasn't anything I was looking forward to going back. And staying here, it was difficult. I wasn't prepared for this. I was scared. I did not know a word of English, and the loneliness, the different culture. And I'm grateful to my brother for helping me to make the right decision. And forever, I'm grateful because that decision making changed the entire landscape of my life. Soon, my mother left. And the only way that I could get over it was by immersing myself in sports, doing long distance running, marathons, gymnastics. And within a year, my mother passed away. It was a difficult time. It was the last time I saw my mother was when she went back to Iran. So I had to grieve her loss alone. Yes. I didn't get a chance to say goodbye. I didn't get a chance to say how much I truly missed her. So the only way, as I said, I could overcome those painful times was by focusing on sports, which by then I finished high school and got a full scholarship to University of Illinois. And when I entered the University of Illinois, I was drawn to some social causes. And knowing myself from the very childhood, I was drawn to the pain and suffering of others. So it was very natural for me to get drawn to women's movements, civil rights, Vietnam War, which for many years I spent being active in those movements. And after graduation, I went back to New Jersey. I managed one of the most prestigious health spas in America. During that time, I met my husband. We got married in 1978 and went back to Iran. The initial experience in Iran was painful because I had left Iran at 15 and now back after over a decade. To me, it seemed as though I had visited the scene of the crime. A lot of intense emotions, a lot of backlashes, a lot of noises that I needed to silence them. And what I normally do when I'm involved in a lot of unmanageable traumas, pain, I pick up a goal for myself, which is so much bigger than the problem, to be able to move on. It was then, remember, it was right after the revolution. There was a lot of chaos and uncertainty. Everything was shut down. Nobody was hiring or anything. And I decided to open up the very first all-women health spas in Iran with the goal of helping women to overcome their difficulties and challenges in life by helping them to deal with those difficulties in a better way. After 4.5 years, and when our son was born, we moved to the United States. I helped my husband to set up his dental practice, and I managed that practice for some time. And after our divorce, which was another devastating experience and painful time, I needed to do something to distract myself with the painful experiences I was going through. That's when I decided to start Fitness by Maggie with the same goal and the same message as when I started Fitness by Mahbube in Iran. Mahbube was my Persian name. And Fitness by Maggie truly was a transformative experience for me. I worked with a lot of women who were dealing with different challenges, difficulties in their lives. And I was able to use the healing power of nature to guide them through their problems. It was actually 2 years ago when I was 66 years old. I was going through some difficult times again, and I needed to do something to distract myself from what I was dealing with. That's when I set up again a huge goal for myself. And this time it was an epic hike, choosing one of the 5th most difficult day hike in America, called Cactus to the Cloud. Starts from Palm Spring, desert floor, you climb 10,800 feet. Most of the elevation gain on this hike is in the first 8.5 miles. I started at 1:30 in the morning with a headlight. I didn't know what I was going to face, entering an unknown territory. And I had focused so much on this hike to distract me, as I said, about the painful experiences I was feeling. This hike, if you decided to come back after 3 miles, no way. It was a one-way up anyone tried to come back after 3 miles, they would be walking into an oven. Palm Spring, the heat, that's why we start early in the morning. When I reached the peak, all the problems I was dealing with diminished. It was like I had so much clarity, so much sense of purpose that those problems didn't bother me anymore. But one of the most important, and for a 66-year-old woman, not bad. But one of the most important accomplishment of Fitness by Maggie, and what I'm proud of, is the recent young lady I worked with. When she came to me the first time, she weighed 120 pounds, very tall and beautiful. She decided not to start with me. She came back about a year and a half later. I was shocked when I saw her. She had ballooned to 305 pounds, suffering from food addiction. She decided to work with me. And this time, with the trust that was built between us, we were able to help her to drop 175 pounds within a year and a half. I learned so much from this girl and opened my eyes to the complexity of food addiction, something that our society knows so little about. I'm just pleased and I'm grateful that I had a little part in her success. It truly gives me joy to be able to help others. Now we are dealing with this pandemic, Reza. It's the most difficult, the most devastating and disastrous time of our life as far as this challenge is concerned. We have not faced anything like this before. It is difficult for most people. Social distancing, wearing gloves, masks, people losing their jobs, businesses closed, dreams shattered, cannot do the things we used to be able to do, the things we used to take for granted. We cannot do those things anymore. Things have changed. I handle things a little differently. Like I have explained so far, that when I'm dealing with something much bigger than myself, the goal I set for myself has to be bigger to be able to deal with a crisis. For me, not being able to go on any trails normally is painful. All the trails are closed. But that doesn't stop me. I have found this steep hill close to my home. I go up and down so many times for hours. And that has replaced my jump rope. When I climb or when I go on this hill, I get to look at life from another perspective, from another vantage point. Actually, this has given my life so much purpose, so much meaning. I'm hoping, or I encourage all of you to find your own jump rope like I did. Be safe, stay healthy, and find your own jump rope. Thank you.